Picture this. It is Friday afternoon. You are sitting at your desk pretending to work, but really, you are watching the clock. At 3 o'clock, your paycheck hits. You open your banking app, and there it is. $2,300. For exactly 4 seconds, you feel rich. Then the notifications start rolling in. Auto pay for the car, auto pay for the credit card, minimum payment processed, another minimum payment processed, rent coming out tomorrow, student loan payment scheduled. Within minutes, that number drops to $372. You have 2 weeks until the next paycheck, and you just bought groceries on Tuesday. Welcome to the hamster wheel. You are not broke because you are irresponsible. You are not broke because you spend too much on coffee. You are broke because the system is designed to keep you broke. And the people who benefit most from your financial stress are the same people who hold your debt. My name is Bobby, and I think about money differently than most people. Not because I am smarter, not because I had some magical advantage, but because I realized something that changed everything. The banks do not want you to pay off your debt. They want you to service it forever. Today, we are going to break down exactly how this trap works. We are going to talk about why 47% of Americans are stuck in revolving credit card debt. We are going to expose the minimum payment scam that keeps people in debt for decades. And we are going to show you why $15,000 in liquid savings is not just a nice to have. It is the single number that breaks you free from financial prison. This is not a lecture about budgeting. This is about understanding the game so you can stop playing by their rules. Let me show you how the banks make their money. When you carry a credit card balance, you are not a customer. You are inventory. You are a revenue-generating asset sitting on their balance sheet. In 2023 alone, major credit card companies earned an estimated $25 billion in additional interest revenue just by raising their profit margins. Not because your risk went up, not because their costs increased, because they could. The average credit card interest rate right now sits around 22 to 23%. That is not an accident. That is not market forces. That is designed profitability. Banks borrow money at near zero rates and lend it to you at 23%. The spread is obscene, and 80% of their credit card profitability comes from that interest income, not from swipe fees, not from annual fees, from you carrying a balance. Here is what that looks like in real numbers. The average American household carries somewhere between $6,500 and $10,000 in credit card debt. Let us use $6,500 as our baseline. At 22% interest, if you only make minimum payments, you will be in debt for 170 months. That is over 14 years, and you will pay $6,491 in interest. You borrowed $6,500. You pay back $13,000. The bank just doubled their money off your groceries and gas. Now let me ask you something. If someone offered you an investment that guaranteed a 22% annual return with zero risk, would you take it? Of course you would. Every rational person would. But here is the thing. That investment exists. It is called you paying off your credit card. Except the bank is getting that return, not you. This is why they push minimum payments so hard. When your statement arrives, there is a little box that says minimum payment due. $35, $60, maybe $90. It feels manageable. It feels responsible. You made a payment. You are staying current. Your credit score is fine. Everything looks okay on the surface, but that minimum payment is financial quicksand. Most credit card companies calculate your minimum as somewhere between 1% and 4% of your balance. Let us say yours is 3%. On a $5,000 balance, that is $150. Sounds fine, right? Except here is what they do not tell you. $130 of that payment goes straight to interest. Only $20 touches your actual debt. You just worked an entire day to pay down $20 of principal. At that rate, a $2,000 balance takes nearly 11 years to eliminate. Not 11 months, 11 years. And during that time, you pay over $2,300 in interest. You charged $2,000. You paid back $4,300. For what? For falling into the trap of thinking minimum payments are normal. They are not normal. They are designed. Banks have entire teams of behavioral economists and data scientists whose only job is to optimize how much they can extract from you without pushing you into default. They want you in debt. They want you making payments, but they do not want you to pay it off. Because the moment you pay it off, the revenue stops. This is why 61% of Americans with credit card debt have been carrying that debt for over a year. It is why 47% of cardholders revolve a balance every single month. The system works exactly as intended. You stay in debt. They stay profitable. Now let us zoom out and look at the 3 financial prisons most Americans are trapped in. Prison number 1 is consumer debt, credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later schemes. This is the highest interest, most toxic debt you can carry. Average interest rates hover between 19 and 25%. There is no tax advantage. There is no appreciation. You are literally paying a premium to borrow money for things that lose value the moment you buy them. Clothes, electronics, furniture, vacations you cannot afford. Every dollar you spend on interest is a dollar you will never invest, never save, never use to build actual wealth. Prison number 2 is car loans. The average new car payment in America is over $700 a month. For 72 months, that is 6 years of payments on an asset that depreciates 30% the moment you drive it off the lot. You are financing $50,000 to own a $35,000 car. And because most people roll negative equity from their last car into the new loan, they are underwater before they even start. You owe more than the car is worth, which means you cannot sell it, you cannot trade it, you are stuck. That is not freedom. That is a rolling prison made of leather seats and a sunroof. Prison number 3 is student loans. This is the debt that does not go away. You cannot discharge it in bankruptcy. You cannot negotiate it away. It sits there, compounding, growing, following you for decades. The average borrower graduates with $30,000 to $40,000 in loans. At 6% interest over 10 years, you pay $9,000 just in interest. And if you go into forbearance or deferment, that interest capitalizes. Your $40,000 loan becomes a $50,000 loan without you borrowing another cent. These 3 prisons share one thing in common. They all drain your cash flow, they all demand monthly payments, and they all keep you from building the one thing that actually changes your life: liquidity. Which brings us to the $15,000 number. $15,000 is not arbitrary. It is not a feel-good goal. It is the mathematical threshold where your relationship with money fundamentally changes. Here is why. For the average American household, $15,000 represents roughly 3 to 5 months of essential expenses, not your full lifestyle, not your subscriptions and takeout and weekend trips. Your essentials: rent, food, utilities, insurance, transportation, the things you cannot cut even if everything goes wrong. When you have $15,000 in liquid savings, something psychological shifts. You stop operating from a place of fear. You stop saying yes to things because you are desperate. You stop taking the first job offer because you need the paycheck. You stop staying in situations that are bad for you because you cannot afford to leave. $15,000 is not wealth. It is options. It means when your car breaks down, you fix it without going into debt. It means when you lose your job, you have time to find the right next move instead of panicking into the first thing available. It means when your employer tries to underpay you, you can walk away. It means you can take a risk on a side business, a career change, a move to a new city. $15,000 turns you from reactive to proactive. But here is the brutal truth. Most Americans will never hit that number, not because they cannot, but because they are hemorrhaging money on debt service. If you are paying $600 a month in credit card interest and minimum payments, that is $7,200 a year that could be going into savings. In 2 years, you would have your $15,000, but instead, it goes to the bank. This is why paying off debt is not just about math, it is about reclaiming your future. So let me show you how to do it. The most efficient debt payoff method is called the avalanche, not the snowball. Not the feelings-based method where you pay off the smallest balance first to feel good. The avalanche. You attack the highest interest rate first because math does not care about your feelings. Here is how it works. You list every debt you have: credit cards, personal loans, car loans, student loans. Next to each one, you write the interest rate. Then you rank them from highest to lowest. The highest rate gets every extra dollar you can throw at it. Everything else gets the minimum payment. When the highest rate debt is gone, you move to the next one. All the money you were putting toward the first debt now goes to the second. The payment gets bigger each time. That is the avalanche. Let me give you a concrete example. You have $20,000 in debt across 3 credit cards. Card A has $8,000 at 24%. Card B has $7,000 at 19%. Card C has $5,000 at 15%. Most people would pay them all equally. That is wrong. You attack Card A with everything you have while making minimums on B and C. If you can pay $500 a month total, $400 goes to Card A and $50 each to B and C. At that pace, Card A is gone in under 2 years. Now you take that $400 and add it to card B. You are paying $450 a month on card B now. It is gone in another 18 months. Now you are paying $500 a month on card C. It is gone in less than a year. Total time to debt freedom, just under 4 years. Compare that to paying all three equally. Same amount of money, same monthly budget, but spread across all three debts, you are paying for over 6 years because you are funding the high-interest debt longer. 2 extra years of payments because you did not prioritize correctly. The avalanche saves you time. It saves you money. It saves you from the psychological trap of thinking you are making progress when you are actually just treading water. But here is the part nobody talks about. You cannot budget your way out of debt. If you are drowning in payments and barely making ends meet, cutting your latte budget is not going to fix it. You need more income, period. You cannot save your way to $15,000 on $40,000 a year while paying down $20,000 in debt. The math does not work. You need to increase the revenue side of the equation. This means side hustles. This means freelancing. This means asking for a raise. This means learning a skill that pays more. This means working nights and weekends for a temporary period to break free. I am not saying that is fair. I am not saying that is easy. I am saying that is reality. Most people resist this because they think they are already working hard enough. And they are right. They are working hard, but they are working hard to stay broke. What I am suggesting is working hard with a target. Work like hell for 18 months. Not forever, not for the rest of your life. 18 months of intensity to break the cycle. Get a second job. Drive for a rideshare service on weekends. Sell things you do not need. Freelance in your area of expertise. Flip items online. Consult. Tutor. Walk dogs. Clean houses. I do not care what it is. Just do something that generates cash flow beyond your primary income. Every extra dollar goes to debt, not to lifestyle, not to a nicer apartment, or a better car, or a vacation. Debt, then savings. In that order, because the faster you kill the debt, the faster you free up cash flow to build the $15,000. Now let me give you a framework that actually works for managing money while you are in this phase. Forget the traditional budget, it is too rigid, too easy to fail. Instead, use a modified version of the 50-30-20 rule adapted for debt. 50% of your income goes to essentials: rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, non-negotiable survival costs. 30% goes to debt destruction, not minimums. Aggressive, targeted payments using the avalanche method. 20% goes to everything else. That includes savings, discretionary spending, life. If you can push that 30% to 40 by cutting the 20% down to 10, do it. The faster you clear debt, the faster you reclaim your life. And here is the key. Automate it. Do not rely on willpower. Set up automatic transfers the day after your paycheck hits. Debt payment. Automated. Savings contribution. Automated. What is left is what you live on. This removes decision fatigue. You are not negotiating with yourself every month about whether you should pay extra or buy something. The decision is already made. Most people fail at financial goals because they treat them like New Year resolutions. They start strong and fade. What works is intensity for a defined period. I call it the 90-day sprint. For 90 days, you operate in wartime mode. You cut everything that is not essential. You cancel subscriptions. You meal prep instead of eating out. You say no to social events that cost money. You work every available hour to generate extra income. You live like nobody else so that later you can live like nobody else. 90 days is long enough to make serious progress, but short enough that you can endure it. It is a sprint, not a marathon. You are not doing this forever. You are doing it for 1 quarter, and at the end of 90 days, you reassess. Maybe you do another 90-day sprint. Maybe you ease up slightly. But the point is, you created momentum. Most people never escape debt because they approach it casually. They pay a little extra here and there. They try to balance everything. They want to be comfortable while paying off debt. That does not work. Comfort is what got you into debt. Discomfort is what gets you out. Here is what happens when you actually do this. When you attack debt with focus and intensity. When you free up $600 a month that was going to credit cards. When you start building that $15,000 cushion. Your sleep improves. You stop waking up at 3 in the morning worried about money. You stop checking your bank account before you buy groceries. You stop feeling the knot in your stomach every time an unexpected expense comes up. You start saying no to things that do not serve you because you are not desperate for the paycheck or the approval or the distraction. You become selective. You become strategic. You start making decisions based on what you want, not what you can afford this week. That is freedom. Not luxury, not wealth. Freedom. The freedom to choose. And once you have that $15,000 in the bank and your high-interest debt is gone, you do not stop. You keep building, you invest, you create multiple income streams. You never go back to living paycheck to paycheck because you remember how it felt. But it starts with this, with understanding that the banks need you broke. They need you in debt. They need you making minimum payments forever, because that is their business model. You are the product. Your debt is their asset. And every dollar you pay in interest is a dollar they did not have to earn. They just extracted it from your future. So here is what you do today, right now. 3 things. First, list every debt you have. Write down the balance and the interest rate. Rank them. Highest rate first. That is your target. Second, calculate how much extra you can throw at that debt every month. Even if it is $50, even if it is $20, start. Momentum beats perfection. Third, commit to increasing your income over the next 90 days. One side hustle, one freelance gig, one ask for a raise, one thing that brings in more cash. Because you cannot cut your way to wealth. You have to earn your way there. The banks are counting on you staying comfortable, staying distracted, staying in debt. Prove them wrong. But let me address the elephant in the room. What if you are already behind? What if you missed payments? What if your credit is damaged and you feel like you are too far gone to fix this? Listen to me carefully. Your credit score is not your identity. It is a number that measures how profitable you are to lenders. That is it. A bad credit score means you were not a good debt customer. Good. Stop trying to be one. Focus on becoming a good wealth builder instead. Yes, bad credit makes things harder. Yes, you will pay higher interest rates for a while. Yes, some opportunities will be closed temporarily, but none of that is permanent. Credit scores rebuild. What does not rebuild is the 20 years you waste making minimum payments because you were too afraid to face the damage. Here is what you do if you are in the hole. Stop digging. Immediately. No more debt. I do not care if it is 0% for 12 months. I do not care if it is a great deal. You are done borrowing money. Your credit cards are not tools right now. They are weapons pointed at your future. Put them away. Next, triage. You have limited resources and multiple creditors screaming for money. Who gets paid? In this order: shelter, food, utilities, transportation, then everything else. I do not care what the credit card company says. I do not care what the debt collector threatens. You keep a roof over your head and food in your stomach first, always. Once the essentials are covered, you negotiate. Call every creditor. Explain your situation. Ask for hardship programs. Ask for lower interest rates. Ask for payment plans. Most will work with you if you are honest and proactive. They would rather get $400 a month than nothing. Use that. And if you are truly drowning, if there is no path forward with what you owe, consider debt settlement or bankruptcy. I know that sounds extreme. I know it feels like failure. It is not. It is a financial tool. Sometimes the smartest move is to reset completely and start clean. A bankruptcy stays on your credit for 7 to 10 years. You know what else lasts 10 years? Paying minimums on debt you will never eliminate. I am not saying bankruptcy is the first option. I am saying it is an option, and sometimes it is the right one. Talk to a bankruptcy attorney. Understand your choices. Make an informed decision. Do not let shame keep you in financial prison. Now let us talk about something nobody wants to hear. Your lifestyle is probably too expensive. I know you worked hard for what you have. I know you feel like you deserve certain things. I know cutting back feels like punishment. But here is the reality. If your lifestyle requires debt to maintain, it is not your lifestyle. It is the bank's lifestyle. You are just renting it. The car you cannot afford. The apartment that is too expensive. The clothes, the gadgets, the subscriptions, the habits, all of it. If you cannot pay cash for your life, you cannot afford your life. And I am not talking about your mortgage or necessary transportation. I am talking about the discretionary stuff. The stuff you buy to feel successful while going broke. This is the hardest part of the process because it requires admitting that you have been living beyond your means. It requires saying no when everyone around you is saying yes. It requires being the person who does not go to the concert, does not take the trip, does not buy the new phone. It requires being different. And you know what? Being different is exactly how you win, because normal in America is broke. Normal is living paycheck to paycheck. Normal is having no savings, maxed credit cards, and hoping nothing goes wrong. If you want different results, you have to do different things. So let me paint a different picture for you. Imagine it is 3 years from now. You wake up on a random Tuesday and you check your bank account out of habit. There is $17,000 sitting there. Not because you hit the lottery, not because you got an inheritance, because you systematically executed a plan. You killed your credit card debt. You built your emergency fund. You stopped bleeding money to interest payments. Your car is paid off. You are driving the same car, but the $600 payment is now going into investments. Your credit cards have zero balances. When you use them now, you pay them off weekly. They are tools, not crutches. Your student loans are on track and you are ahead of schedule. Nothing is screaming at you. Nothing is overdue. You are not rich, but you are stable, and stability feels like a superpower when you have lived in chaos. On that Tuesday morning, your manager calls you into an office and tells you they are restructuring. Your position is being eliminated. 3 years ago, this would have destroyed you. You would have panicked. You would have taken the first job you could find, probably for less money. You would have felt helpless, but not today. Today, you smile. You negotiate your severance. You take 2 weeks to think. You use the $17,000 to give yourself breathing room. You explore options. You consider the career change you always wanted to make. You interview at 3 companies and pick the one with the best offer. You are not desperate. You are selective. That is the power of $15,000. Actually, $17,000 now because you kept building. It is not that the money solves every problem. It is that the money gives you time, and time gives you options, and options give you power. This is not hypothetical. This is how it actually works. I have seen people transform their lives with this exact approach, not because they made millions, because they stopped being in debt to institutions that do not care about them, because they built a buffer, because they gave themselves options. And the beautiful part? Once you have that buffer, your psychology changes. You stop making decisions from scarcity. You start seeing opportunities instead of threats. You start thinking longer term. You start asking, what do I want, instead of what can I afford right now? You start investing because you have cash flow. You start building wealth because you are not servicing debt. You start thinking about retirement, about your kids' education, about owning property, about creating passive income streams. Not because you suddenly got rich, because you stopped being broke. And here is the thing about wealth building. It is logarithmic, not linear. The first 15,000 is the hardest. It might take you 2 years, but the next 15,000 might take you 1 year because you have momentum, you have systems, you have income streams. The 15,000 after that might take you 6 months. It compounds. Progress breeds progress. But none of that happens if you do not start. None of that happens if you keep making excuses. None of that happens if you stay comfortable in the debt cycle because it is familiar. The banks are betting you will stay where you are. They have entire systems designed to keep you there. Minimum payments, teaser rates, balance transfers that reset the clock, rewards programs that encourage more spending, pre-approved offers, credit limit increases. It is all designed to keep you using credit, carrying balances, paying interest. They are playing a long game. They do not need you to pay them back quickly. They need you to pay them back slowly, forever, because that maximizes their return. A customer who pays off their card every month is a deadbeat in banking terms. A customer who carries a balance and makes payments on time forever is a dream. You are either going to be their dream or their nightmare. Their dream is you staying in debt. Their nightmare is you becoming financially independent. Choose to be the nightmare. Let me give you one more framework that helps people stay on track. It is called the 3-account system. You have 3 bank accounts. Account 1 is your operating account. This is where your paycheck goes and where you pay bills from. Account 2 is your debt destruction account. This is where your targeted debt payments come from. Account 3 is your freedom account. This is your emergency fund, your $15,000. Every paycheck money automatically flows into all 3. Operating gets the 50% for essentials. Debt destruction gets the 30% for payments. Freedom gets 20% for savings. You do not think about it. You do not decide. It happens automatically. And over time, as debt disappears, the 30% that was going to debt destruction now goes to freedom. Your savings rate accelerates. This system works because it removes emotion. Money is math. Math does not care how you feel. It does not care if you had a bad day. It does not care if your coworker bought a new car. The system runs regardless, and that is what keeps people consistent. Consistency beats intensity over time. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. $50 a week for 2 years is better than $500 once. Small actions repeated create massive results. That is how you build $15,000. That is how you escape. I want to be very clear about something. I am not promising this is easy. I am not saying you will not have setbacks. I am not saying there is a magic formula that makes debt disappear overnight. What I am saying is this is possible. It is doable. People with your income, your debt load, your situation have done it. You are not special in a bad way. You are not uniquely screwed. You just need a plan and the discipline to execute it. So here is the final reality check. You are either going to change or you are not. You are either going to take this seriously or you are going to keep doing what you have been doing. And what you have been doing is keeping you broke. You know that. I know that. The banks know that. The question is whether you are ready to do something about it. Whether you are ready to be uncomfortable for a while to change your trajectory. Whether you are ready to say no to things in the short term so you can say yes to things in the long term. $15,000 is not a dream. It is a decision, and that decision starts today. Write down the 3 actions I gave you. List your debts. Calculate your extra payment amount. Commit to increasing your income. Do those 3 things this week, not next month. This week, and then keep going. Every week, every month, until the debt is gone and the $15,000 is in your account. The banks need you broke. Do not give them what they want.